First off, I want to start this video by saying fuck fear. Fuck fear, fuck anxiety, fuck it all. Fuck the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of dying. Fuck it all. That's what I say, man. That's how I want to start this video off today. I wanted to shoot this video because I wanted to give my personal story on me wanting to start a YouTube channel. It's been, 6 months now, almost a year. I've been trying to start this YouTube channel. But one thing I noticed is I've been caught up in the fear of rejection and if somebody likes me, you know. And while being caught up in that, missing the bigger picture, you know what I mean? That I have so much I want to get out, so much information, so much knowledge that I want to share with the world. And I feel it within my soul that I got to get these messages out. So I was caught up in trying to get my YouTube studio set up, trying to get it all perfect, getting the lighting perfect, watching all these videos, you know, trying to see how to do lighting, how to get you the perfect YouTube studio, like getting caught up in this all perfectionism, you know. But at the end of it, I forgot what's most important. And what's most important is we're humans. We were never made to be perfect. You know what I mean? So in trying to be perfect, that's where the lack of perfectionism is. When I say lack of perfectionism, maybe that's not even a word. Fuck it. I'm just doing this video. Meaning, you can't find perfectionism. You can't find perfectionism in perfectionism, if that makes sense. See, perfectionism comes from balance. It comes from you just being your authentic self, right? And when you get rid of the fear of wanting to, you know, all that fear, that bullshit fear that society teaches us since we were a kid, you realize that you're free to live your life however that you want to live. So this is my walking meditation. By the way, if you want to check out the scenery, very nice park here. Right. So my walking meditation. And just so you know a little bit about me, I'm an author, 3 times author. I wrote 3 books. Most of them all about fear, living your authentic self. So me personally, I've dealt with anxiety all my life. When I say all my life, like severe anxiety and depression. And never went to therapy, never took therapy, never took any kind of drug. Now, I'm not saying that anyone should go down my route. I'm just giving my personal story. But me, I find strength in the discomfort, right? So if you don't understand what that means is, when you go through adversity in life or bad shit happens to you, there's always 2 ways you can, you know, deal with it. You can deal with it from a comfort way, meaning, you know, throw some money on it. You know, for example, you got anxiety, you go get therapy, buy some medication, whatever that works for you. Now, I'm not here to give you any advice, right? I'm only here to give you my personal opinion. That's it. So, me personally, I find growth through discomfort. Now, most people may not like that because, you know, it's a lot to deal with, and I understand, to each their own, right? But I find discomfort. I find growth through discomfort. Because after you've been through the suffering, the pain, you learn so much. You learn so much about yourself, you learn so much about the environment, your friends, your work, everything around you. And when I went through my years of anxiety, I went through a lot of suffering. And I learned a lot. And all through it, one of the most important things I've learned is, switch camera hands here because my hands are getting tired. One thing I've learned the most is that, man, we gotta face our problems sometimes head on, and this is where the real growth happens. Like if you think about a lot of movie actors, a lot of famous movie actors, if you listen, even musicians and so forth, and if you listen to their stories and what they've been through, right, before they became famous, realize how they had no food, homeless, so they had to go through they had to go through the gutter, right, to get to where they at. Now, not everyone can go through that because you got to be mentally strong. And all through my anxiety, I've learned how fear keeps us down, and if you think about it, if you ask yourself, like, what the fuck is fear, right? What is fear? Like, what is it? Is it something that is going to come at you? No, it's just a mental state. That's what it is. That's all it is, a mental state that's in your mind. It's a mental projection of your mind that keeps you from doing the things that you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And in my book that I've read, and I'm not selling nobody any book, all right? If you want to go check it out, you go check it out. You want to buy, you go buy. It's called Quantum Fear Virus. Talk about my story. And my other book is called, my second book that I released is called How Society Mind Fucks You to Be Weak. And my last book, I just released that actually a couple of days ago, actually. It's called 7 Stories, 7 Anxiety Stories to inspire you to become resilient. Right? All available on Amazon. But anyways, back to the story. In through my studies, through my experience and working with other people and people who has dealt with anxiety, what I've come to realize is this, is that fear is the base of everything, of anxiety, depression, most of the suffering we go through. So sometimes we try to avoid suffering, not realizing that our own fear keeps us in that suffering also, right? Our own state of mind keeps us in that suffering. What do I mean by that? So if you say, okay, I want to go start a business, and you say, but I'm afraid to fail. But you're in poverty, right? And you said, I'm not going to start this business because I'm afraid to fail. But at the same time, your fear keeps you in that poverty. And that's what creates the suffering. Now, realizing that this is only a state of mind. No one is physically holding you back from starting this business. If you fail, you fail. What came out of it is growth, lessons. That's the most important. You know what I mean? So, my biggest fear I had in life when I was going through anxiety, and this came from my personal history growing up, right? And I'm not going to get into detail about it, but for people who know me, or those who have read my book, know that I grew up in an orphanage for 14 years in Jamaica. 14 fucking years, man. I was abandoned as a kid, but my mom and dad, right? 14 years of mental torture, abuse, physical, emotional, like you name it. I've been through that shit, right? So, growing up, I heard a lot of horror stories. I heard like a lot of stories like, don't do this, don't do that, because this can hurt you. Or just negative thoughts from low vibrational people, right? So all these negative thoughts, such as, oh, by the time you get to 2021, you'll be dead. Just really dumb shit like that. And I believe that. So my mind was possessed in a negative way from a young child. Imagine that. 14 years of just pure negative abuse, mental, emotional, and physical. You know what I mean? That takes a toll on your mind after a while. And I grew up believing all that shit, man. And I grew up having a terrible anxiety about the fear of death, the fear of sicknesses. It's plagued me a lot, you know what I mean? And one day I remember I had a terrible panic attack, man. And that changed everything for me. Because if I can remember, I went to the fucking hospital, going to different doctors more than 30 times. I swear I was getting a heart attack. Only it comes out, at the end I realized I was just having anxiety, right? So it took me a long time to deal with this shit, a long time. And it came down that as I started to learn more about myself and investigate why I was having these panic attacks, anxiety attacks, it just came down to the fear of death. And a lot of people have this fear of death. And what that fear of death comes from the fear of the unknown, right? We don't know what the hell is going to happen to all of us when we die, right? So, and then you got society telling us, oh, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. But we never take the opportunity to really go out and learn. Like, we go to school, we learn about the physical, the body, everything in the physical. But we never learn about our true essence, the astral, what lies beyond. So we're intentionally taught to be ignorant of our true essence, right? Not knowing what the life is about. What are we here for? So we're here stuck in this realm of reality, chasing all this material wealth, thinking that we're just gonna make us happy. It will make you happy for a moment, but then you're on to the next thing. Then you're on to the next thing. This is why humans can never understand why we're so greedy, right? Because we can never be happy. This is the problem. We can never be happy. So, if you want true fulfillment, which is where real happiness comes from, where you don't have to depend on materialism, understand who you are. That's so important. So important. I wish I knew this a long time ago. I was a shy kid, very shy, didn't have confidence, no confidence, afraid to talk to people. You know what I'm saying? Just, again, you gotta understand how I was raised. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know how to spell my own name until I was 12 years old. 12. That's fucking embarrassing. I didn't have a education growing up in an orphanage. Why? They said we were gonna be shit anyways in life. But I proved them all wrong though. Now, I'm not here to brag about nobody, about what I have, what I've achieved, what I've done in my life. That's between me and the divine. Because he blessed me with all of this. As a matter of fact, I am the divine. I am God. You are God. Believe that, understand that. So, anyways, again, my anxiety story is that I've learned about the fear of death, the fear of the unknown. I've learned to overcome that. I've learned to understand not to chase materialism. I've understand where true fulfillment comes from. So, one message I want to leave with you here today is this. Fuck fear. Fuck anxiety. Know who you are. And I'm not talking about the physical. Know who you are. Truly know who you are. Because when you do, I promise you, everything you've ever wanted, everything you've ever desired in this world will all come to you. Everything. I promise you that. It will all come to you. And understand this about death. You never die. You can never die. You are God. And a God cannot be killed or hurt. Remember that. It's only an illusion. So once you learn to move past that illusion of death, of fear, which is all a state of mind, remember this: you're uncontrollable.